my sight to the man who has never seen a sunrise, a baby's face, or love in the act of a woman. Give my heart to a person whose heart has caused nothing but endless days of pain. Take my bones, every muscle, every fiber, and every nerve in my body, and find a way to make a crippled child walk. Take my cells, if necessary, and let them grow so that someday a speechless boy will shout at the crack of a bat, and a deaf girl will hear the sound rain against her window. Robert Tess wrote this knowing the importance of organ donation. Adding your name to the organ donors list is a simple but vital role in saving the lives of thousands of people. You should become an organ donor because donors are highly in demand. Becoming one is a selfless act everyone should take part in, and most of the things you heard are misconceptions easily disproven. To begin with, an organ donor is in demand. Becoming an organ donor is in demand and a prominent issue in all parts of our society. According to the United States government information on organ tissue and donation and transplantation, approximately 17 people die each day without a transplanted organ, adding up to more than 100 people dying each week without the vital transplantation. The U.S. government goes to illustrate that 78 people per day receive transplants, but over 105,205 people are still awaiting organs, and that number grows every day. In 2008, about 6,229 people died waiting for organs, but 27,958 people matched donors and received transplant procedures. 21,958 of those transplants came from deceased donors, which is about 78.9%. 6,213 transplants came from living donors, adding up to about 22.1%. These statistics are in the United States alone, but imagine how many people die across the world. Also, the act of donating or even establishing yourself as an organ donor is the most giving and selfless act a person can give another human being. According to the Organ Procurement and Transplantation Network, the average number of lives one organ donor saves is 8 people. The OPTN also confirms that as many as 50 people on the list waiting for organs will be benefited from one deceased person. A shocking statistic is that a new name is added to the transplant list every 13 minutes. It is not surprising since the number of people waiting for transplants has jumped almost 300% in the last 16 years. People on the waiting list wait months and sometimes even years to find a matching donor for a kidney, blood vessels, a pancreas, liver, heart, intestines, eyes, skin, bone marrow, and even a combination of several of those. All of which are unusual to you after you die, but can be saving the lives of men, women, and children, all who have families, friends, and loved ones just like you guys. Lastly, think clearly about what you're going to do with your body after you die. Becoming an organ donor is a controversial subject, but there are many misconceptions about it. Understanding organ donations is the first step in realizing that you could be giving someone a second chance at life, the most precious gift of all, which is the gift of life. Organ and tissue donation doesn't interfere with having an open casket funeral. The donor's body is closed for burial, so there are no visible signs of organ or tissue donation. For eye donation and artificial eyes inserted, the lids are closed and no one can even tell the difference. For bone donation, a rod is inserted where the bone is removed. With skin donation, a very thin layer of skin, similar to a sunburn peel, is taken from the donor's back. Because you are clothed and laying on your back in your casket, no one can tell the difference. Organ donation is consistent with the beliefs of most religions. This includes Catholicism, Protestantism, Islam, and most branches of Judaism. The only religions I could find that are against it is Shinto and Gypsies. So I don't think many of you are any of those. But when you go to the hospital for treatment, doctors focus on saving your life, not somebody else's. So don't think that when you'll be seen by a doctor, they're going to try to just let you go and give all your organs to save other people's lives. They're going to do what they can to save you. You'll be seen by a doctor whose specialty is most closely matches your particular emergency, and the doctor in charge of your care has nothing to do with transplantation or the transplant center. The organ donor's family is never charged for donating. The family is charged for the cost of all final efforts to save your life. And those costs are sometimes misinterpreted as costs related to organ donations. Costs for organ removal go to the transplant recipient. The United Network for Organ Sharing, the organization responsible for maintaining the National Organ Transplant Network, subjects all celebrity transplants to an internal audit to make sure all organ allocations was appropriate, meaning that it prevents the rich and famous from moving to the top of the list for organs and regulates the waiting list to be fair. Also, you can be any age to donate your organ. There are reports that 70 and 80-year-olds have donated their organs which have successfully been transplanted. You also don't have to be in perfect health. The doctors will decide after you die which of your organs qualify to be transplanted. Taking actions into your own hands is as easy as talking to your friends and family about your decision to donate organs if anything should happen to you. You can also get an organ donor stamp on your driver's license or print out a donor card from organdonor.gov to hold in your wallet. It takes only a few minutes to become an organ donor, but in the long run, you could be saving somebody's life. Giving them a second chance to spend more time with their family and friends, and more time to do the things they love and fulfill their dreams and aspirations. To conclude, becoming an organ donor is very much needed and very much rewarding. If you are unsure about donating your organs, don't let the myths get in the way of giving someone a second chance at life. It is a simple procedure that involves no risk for you. You can't second-guess a decision to give a gift so precious and rewarding, knowing that you saved dozens of lives.
All right, so Paul, what did you think?
Well, I thought the intro was good. She cited her sources. At the beginning, she gave like a little outline of what she was going to do. Although when she got to the main part, it wasn't really as clear as when she got to each of the points. And I like how she talked about like when you die, they're not going to mutilate your corpses for the organ. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was well organized at the beginning, and there's a good preview of what the content's going to be. But when you get to that last section, it sounds a little bit backwards. It sometimes sounds like you're addressing the issue. You know, you don't have to worry about this, that, and the other thing before we even knew that this was an issue. You know, it's like you're saying religious groups don't object, blah, 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 before we even know that some people think that there might be an objection. They're not going to dismember you before we know that some people think. So it just seemed like you had each of those sections a little bit backwards as you were talking about them. The first section, there's a lot of information in it. You've got, you know, a little bit of data dumping. There were probably 15 statistics that all went together, and they do a good job demonstrating that a need exists for organ donors. So I don't think that that was problematic at all, but I don't think that you get quite as much emotional power out of that as you could. There's a single case would probably be enough to pull us in a little bit more. The quote that you start with, for instance, I think is also something that could have a little bit more emotional resonance if it's delivered a little bit more effectively. As it is, it sounds like there's a lot of reading going on, and that's the one drawback in the presentation. You're very script dependent on what you've got there. All right, thank you.